What's good, y'all? Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Welcome to the Nax channel. Today, we're going to go ahead and dive into a topic that has been flooding the media for the past week or so. And what I want to go ahead and start talking to you about today is, should black people feel sorry for Charlie Kirk's death? Now, I know a lot of people typically have their own views, their own opinions as far as what they think about the death of Charlie Kirk. Didn't know much about him at first until I watched a few of his debates, a couple of videos on him, and just researched some information in regards of what his stands were on. I know he was a conservative. I know he was married, had 2 kids. It's unfortunate that he had to leave them behind. So, as a black man myself, I've been questioned how do I feel about his death? So I didn't personally know him, but based off of what I've seen on the media and what he has portrayed out as far as his opinions towards my community, most people would think that I would be, we'd be like having a block party, having fun, having a barbecue that this man passed. But in reality, though, if you can, honest to God, if you can celebrate the death of someone, regardless if it's even your enemy, someone that you dislike, someone who has a different opinion or a different view from you, you really have to look inwardly, and you really have to look within yourself and find, just understand the kind of person you are for you to be out here partying and celebrating for the death of a man. Now, I get it. He wasn't, let's just call it like it is. We know that he was pretty much a white supremacist. Whether he was saying it overtly or covertly, I haven't watched enough videos to determine whether he was an overt or covert white supremacist. I'm pretty sure he was more covert. But for the most part, I wouldn't say that I would be skipping beats and being happy and just ecstatic at the death of this man. But I can fully understand why a lot of black people would not feel sorry for the death of Charlie Kirk, given the fact that he didn't really believe that systemic racism was even a real thing. So a white man cannot understand how a black man lives in America. I've been subject to systemic racism in multiple instances in my life. Whether it's been stopped by a cop for literally doing nothing. I may have been going 5 over above the speed limit. Jobs, as far as applying to different jobs, I've noticed other candidates that weren't as qualified as me got the position before I did, and I could never understand why, because I was fully qualified for the position and everything. Maybe I just didn't have a good interview, or maybe I just didn't have a good interviewer. Regardless, though, for you to be out here spouting that systemic racism isn't a real thing, see, that's just a viewpoint I can't fully agree with. He can't understand how systemic racism doesn't affect him for the most part. It's affected us in so many ways.
You made some interesting points about the crime statistics in the African American community. You think crime and poverty are intrinsically linked?
Not always, but they could be directionally close to each other. For example, poor Asians are not necessarily more likely to commit crime than a poor black person.
Okay. Do you think there's systematic functions in place that prevent African Americans from moving upward?
No, does not exist.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think they've ever enforced any policies or any actions?
Maybe 40 or 50 years ago, but nothing in our lifetime, not even close.
I would say in our lifetime, right? Within our
That's a big deal, though,
our last
right?
20 decades, our last 2 decades, right? we've had a lot of opportunities for upper mobility, right?
And for whatever reason,
but at a systemic
it hasn't
level,
worked.
But at a systemic level, there's a history of prejudice within the American system against African Americans and black people.
But there's also historic systemic bias against Asian Americans and Jews. It hasn't held them back.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about them.
No,
right?
but it's important to compare. Why is it that it held blacks back but not Asians or Jews?
So I'll answer that. So Jews, well, let me speak about Asians. As a model minority, right, they've had more opportunities for upper mobility.
How?
Well, in terms of getting business loans, setting up in different neighborhoods.
Well, there was a lot more anti-Asian discrimination in California than anti-black discrimination in the 40s and 50s.
So you agree 100% that African Americans have getting the same opportunities?
No, I'm not. Look,
as far as redlining goes,
groups are sometimes treated poorly. Whether or not you're able to overcome that is the question. Number two.
So treated poorly doesn't cover it. I have a couple things. I have a couple lines right here.
The media pushes out this narrative, this they're poisoning the music. They're poisoning the music. They're, in a sense, hypnotizing black men into leaving these women and impregnating. Well, they're impregnating them and leaving them. But in some instances, it's not necessarily their fault as well, too, because black people are economically stunted. I believe in the 90s, Bill Clinton submitted the crime bill where, in order for a black family to be able to get government funding, a black man was not allowed to be in the household. And at that time, it was very hard for black men to even sustain a job, even get a job, because they were tearing down the factories and building something else. So because they weren't able to get a job there, they flooded the communities with drugs. And the only way for them to be able to be providers were to, just be out here getting drugs and selling crack selling crack cocaine in the community so that they can provide for their families.
It really doesn't cover it. I have a couple things. I have a couple lines right here. So we have the Tulsa Massacre of 1921, right?
Yeah,
where African Americans established a black.
Ago.
Well, they established a Black Wall Street, right? And I was taken down. We have the Black Panthers.
How does that impact
in San Francisco?
You? How does that impact you?
Well, I'm saying there's a history. I'm trying to establish a link here.
But I think, again, that you're trained to do this in the college. It has no bearing on whether or not you can make good decisions or not.
Well,
right?
College has no impetus on my thinking. This is
no,
organic.
I know, but I reject the whole premise. You are not a creature or a victim of what happened 104 years ago. You're your own being with your own agency, your own ability to make decisions of right or wrong.
And I agree to not subscribing to a victim mentality and taking accountability for your actions.
I don't think any of that plays into your current status.
You don't think so at all?
No.
Can you list more reasons as to why?
Yeah, the number one problem with Black America is the fact that dads are not around, not the fact that
and that's enforced by the government.
No, it's not.
Different. I would say on an individual basis, there's different programs that stop.
Two out of three black youth did not have a dad around.
Yeah, there's a crack epidemic. CIA moved crack into the hood, moved into different hoods in Los Angeles community.
Yeah, but you have to still choose to do drugs. So, the point is you're a victim of your choices, not your circumstances. That's what makes us conservatives different.
I think you're removing culpability from people, but I agree with accountability and
we believe choices are what determine what you're in, not what's around you.
Yeah, your choices inform your environment and your outcomes. I agree with that.
Yeah, so then if people choose to do crack cocaine and therefore your kids don't have a dad around, that's your own choice. If you choose to commit crimes and you're in prison, that's your own choice.
Yeah,
but no other community has had this problem. Why is Black America have this problem?
I think there's a direct link between the prison industrial complex and incarceration.
Well, but how does one get to prison?
And the profiling African Americans.
Well, hold on. But first of all, it's not a profiling when it comes to that. Blacks are far more likely to commit crimes than any other group associated. It's like 3 to 4 times more likely.
And then a lot of these black men were getting caught because they made sure they over-policed these communities. They were getting caught and they were sent to jail for God knows how long. Like a lot of the times that these guys were in jail for life. The sentencing for a black man selling drugs versus a white man selling drugs was just abhorrent. Like a black man would get like 80 years in jail while a white man would get like 20 years in jail. So he can't necessarily say that there wasn't systemic racism, and to say that everyone had the same opportunity to improve themselves. These are just all false statements. You know, we come on now. He was a very intelligent man, but you can't say that it's equal opportunity in America. It's like, we all know that if we put a white man and a black man, or a white boy and a black boy at the start of a race, like, he's already like 10, 15, 20 steps ahead in that race to win the race of life. And it's even worse for that black boy when the black father isn't in that home. You know, he's already starting off at negative 30 steps, negative 30 paces. Now, is he entitled to free speech? Of course. You know, the First Amendment of the Constitution says that you're entitled to free speech, but he was definitely spouting a lot of negative rhetoric as far as what the black community was. And I mean, you know, what can you honestly do? What can you honestly do? It's like, you know, hey, I can respect some of his views. Honestly, I don't know if I could fully respect all of his views like that, to be honest with you. But I mean, he's entitled to say whatever he wanted to say. And these were just the consequences and repercussions of his actions. But in all honesty, should black individuals, black men, black women, whoever, be celebrating the death of this man? Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, like, if you can, honest to God, parade and party and celebrate the death of this man, like, you, honest to God, you've got to look within yourself and say that there's something wrong with me. Like, was he wrong for what he was saying? Obviously he was wrong for what he was saying. But God wants you to love your enemies. As hard as that is to do, I mean, it's much easier said than done, but you can't fully love God and you can't fully love yourself if you can spout some type of hate like that. So, I mean, I guess that's just my take. I'm not going to be out here celebrating and partying out and saying how, like, oh, yeah, you know, this is the best day of my life. Charlie Kirk is dead. And, you know, I'm not going to do all that, you know, but I'm not going to sit here and act like black people don't have a reason as to why they should be acting the way that they're acting. But hey, it is what it is. This is America. But yeah, thanks you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you guys got an idea of what I thought about the fact that Charlie Kirk's death, what it meant to me, and I don't know. Like, some people are gonna agree with me, others aren't. You know, that's just how people are. But for the most part, though, let's really, at the end of the day, it's like, let's try our best. We got to be better than that. Like, you know, we know what they're doing to us, but that doesn't necessarily mean we have to sink down to their level as well, too. Get what I mean? But, yep, with that being said, thanks for tuning in. You guys have a good one. Peace.